Hi guys, I want to discuss briefly today. What is happening in Nigeria now is a sign of failed leadership. Now everybody is fighting to get petrol. If you have money in Nigeria, you have problem. If you don't have money, you have problem. The rich people are crying, the poor people are crying, everybody is crying in Nigeria. So it's kind of affecting everyone. People that have money to buy petrol for their car can get access to petrol, and people that don't have money also cannot have food to eat. So there's no electricity. The government cannot, for many, many years, for almost 60 years or so that Nigeria got the independence, the government cannot fix electricity in the country. Yet they keep spending a lot of money during election just to get voted into power. During and when the election time comes, the politicians will start bringing out a lot of money to buy votes in order to win the election that they didn't actually merit. That's why these APC people, the ruling party now, is crying because of the new policy of the CBN that they just put in place for them not to be able to access a lot amount of cash. So, but the problem now is these people that are fighting to win the election to be voted into power to go and rule Nigeria? Are they capable of fixing the country? All we keep getting are a bunch of useless, old, brain deranged people that keep coming into power without making any positive impact in the country. The country, right from the capital city until the last smallest state, remains how it is. In fact, it gets worse every day. Those of us that are living abroad, whenever after 1 or 2 years you decide to visit or travel to Nigeria, you go back, you see that the things that you saw by the time you left are still the way they are. There is no improvement. In fact, they become worse. There is no single improvement whatsoever. Now, to get access to cash is a problem. To get access to petrol is a problem. Prices of food and other things are increasing rapidly. So this is a clear sign of a failed government, because a wise government, a government that really cares for its people, they will put in place some preventive measures when they are putting up new policies. Like, of course, if you want to put up new policy that you want to change the new currency note, there should be, you have to look at the effects that it's going to have on the poor masses, the people that are in the rural areas that cannot be able to access the banking systems or the online transaction systems. Some people I think more than half of the population are not on the internet. So if you make the access of cash difficult for them, how then do you expect them to make their transactions? Although this policy is very good in order to, I know it's directly targeted at the politicians that usually buy votes, because during the time CBN announced this thing, there were a lot of them that were bringing out the money that they hid in their vault, in their houses for many, many years. Most of the money have even rotten. So you see that one person hides billions of naira in their houses, and some of them buries them in the ground, and a lot of people are still crying and looking for money, but one person hides a lot of money. Even now they made the policy that they brought out new money. So you see, actually it's Nigerians that are the problem of the country, not entirely the government, because the citizens are also, they also have their own contribution to the problem of the country, the situation of the country. Because even now that the CBN have distributed the new cash to the bank, or to all the banking systems, have given them the cash to distribute to the rural people, to the citizens, to everyone that needs access to it, some banks are still hoarding the cash. And why are they hoarding it? They want to do business with it. Some of them will sell it to big politicians. Some of them will pack this money and give to those politicians that this policy was made against. This policy that the CBN made was actually to cut down on the excess rigging and buying of vote buying for this upcoming election, which is going to be in the next few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. But now, if the banks, the bank managers, and all the bank branches, they take, like CBN distributes about 30 million naira to them for them to disburse to the normal people, They will hoard it, they will seize it, and they will not disburse it to the normal people, and they will still carry this money in bunch and go and give to the same politicians that the policy was made against, which means all the efforts that the federal government and the CBN are making in order to cut down on vote buying are still in vain, because the citizens are still the ones that are supporting and enabling these corrupt politicians to still be able to buy votes during the election. You find out that even when the government, the poor government, is trying their best to fix the country, the citizens are also frustrating the effort. Whichever way that the government tries to fix the country, to fix some certain things in the country, the citizens still have a way to beat the system. So if we continue like this, how then are we going to be able to fix a country? Because fixing a country is not entirely the job of the government. It's a collective job of the citizens and the government. Because if the government is busy fixing and the citizens are busy destroying, then there's no way it can progress. No matter how the government is tight, no matter how brutal the government is, the citizens always have a role to contribute in the development of the country. Malaysia is where it is today because the citizens are responsible. They contribute to the effort of the government in developing the country. Most of the development and infrastructures that you see in Malaysia today are actually done by normal citizens, the public, not by the government. The government, actually, the major job of the government is just to put up policies that will guide and protect people in the country. The job of the government is not to construct houses or even construct roads. Governments don't really construct roads. Even some federal roads, it's been done by third-party constructing companies. And some companies, actually here in Malaysia, a lot of companies, both PPP companies and private companies, they fight for the contract of constructing roads in Malaysia. Why? Because they construct these roads, both the federal roads, the highway, and some other roads. These companies, they construct, they take the contract from the government and they construct these roads and they put up toll gates on these roads. So from that toll gates, they generate a lot of money. One toll gate in Malaysia makes not less than 1 million ringgit in a day. And 1 million ringgit is about more than 100 million naira. That is one toll gate daily income, and that's in more in the major cities like Kuala Lumpur and the Selangor Klang Valley area. So now in these cities in Kuala Lumpur, the Klang Valley area, there are more than, at least not less than 50 tolls. So everywhere you're going, if you're traveling for like 20 kilometers within this area, you must pass at least two tolls every day. If you're traveling to work every day, you must pass at least two tolls or even one. And there are millions of cars that are traveling every day. So calculate the millions of cars that are traveling times 50 tolls. So you see that's a lot of money that these people are making from toll gates. So they use that money to maintain the road, and they pay government their own commission also, and they use it to enrich their company. So by this, government have less work to do. All government have to do in this country, Malaysia, is to regulate the system, to regulate the country, to enforce laws, and every other minor things. Government doesn't really have to bring out a lot of money to do some certain things, except for some big projects like the public transport system. That one government can do, but they already have the money to do that. But Nigerian governments, they do a lot of things. They are the ones that have to bring out the government money to construct the roads. They have to build like public housing or whatever. Everything in the country is basically done by the government. When people graduate from the school, they have to wait for government work. There are no private companies to employ people. Everybody is waiting for government employment or appointment. So this is why Nigeria is still where it is. Nigeria has more resources than Malaysia. Malaysia is the world's number two palm oil producing country. They are the number two in the whole world. Where did they get their palm oil or palm fruit from? From Nigeria. They got it from Nigeria. But today, Nigeria cannot even boast of being the number 10 or number 20. So you see that Private companies, individuals have a role to contribute to this, because if government does the best they can do, I know that we have a lot of corrupt government, a lot of corrupt politicians. Almost 100% of our politicians in Nigeria are corrupt. All of them are looking to go there to make what they can, and take as much money as they can and run away. So that's what most of them are doing. That's why Nigeria is not really going fast. So what is happening now is very terrible. People are struggling to buy petrol. Some people are buying petrol for 400 naira and above, which is very expensive. In Malaysia here, there are two types of petrol. There is one that is regulated, that is under subsidy, that is RON 95. There's one that is not under subsidy, that is not RON 97. That one, the price is also regulated. So things don't just increase prices without the government's knowledge. But in Nigeria, anybody can just increase price to anything and nobody will ask them questions. That is a sign of a failed country. So I think the citizens also need to do their part in contributing to the work and efforts of the government in developing the country, because only the government cannot do it. And the worst part of it is that we have corrupt politicians who are not even putting up enough effort to develop the country. People are running away from the country, and the government is trying their best to stop people from running away. Why would you be trying to stop people from running away from a system that is not working? People are, you can stay, you can graduate from the university and never have a hope of getting employment. But here in this country, in Malaysia, the companies, they beg people to take employment. They beg people to come and take jobs. But in Nigeria, you beg to get employment. So, but Nigeria is richer than this Malaysia. But Malaysia now is far more developed than Nigeria. There is no road in Malaysia that you will go that is not tarred. But the tarred road in Nigeria is not even up to 10% of the road. But the tarred road in Malaysia is above 80%. So that's how you know the amount of development that these people are enjoying. I think those banks that are doing those things, that are hoarding the money, I think EFCC and ICPC should take a very hefty prosecution against them, because they need to use them to set example. Because if everyone is doing like this, the people, they know, poor people or the average people are suffering, while the rich people are still enjoying, are still getting access to those money that is very scarce in the country. How can the only legal tender in the country be scarce and unavailable for the average people? That is a failed system. That is too bad. So the government should do their best. I know that this policy was made to stop election buying. It's very effective, but at least you have to put up an alternative plan or policy that will protect the interest of the average people, which means that you know what you're doing. But if you put up a policy that puts the people to suffering, it's a very useless policy, even though there's a purpose for that. So guys, please share this video and comment, and don't forget to follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really hope that this policy that CBN put up will be very effective in this upcoming election. Let us all vote wisely and vote people that we know that can at least try their best. I know that one person cannot fix Nigeria, but at least they can do something better than the old ones and the foolish ones that doesn't have anything in their head. So thank you guys for watching. Until I see you again, guys. Bye-bye.